Well, today I'm going to teach you how to make a pair of very nice soft cotton hobbles. This is what the end product will look like once we are finished. So it's just a simple little braided hobble, really soft for colts to learn to start hobbling, or even an older horse to learn what hobbles are. And so at first what I did was I cut a piece of 5/8 inch rope. It's the braided rope that is 7 feet long to start. And then I'm going to cut it in half, so I'm going to line up my ends, go to the very end, and at the loop side, I'm going to find my center point here at the top, and then I'm going to do 1 hand length down from that. So down here at my pinky, I'm going to put a little piece of black tape. And that piece of black tape is simply just going to be a marker for me to know how far I'm going to braid my rope here in a moment. So I'm just going to go around here about 1 or 2 times with the black tape so I know where that spot is and that tape won't come off as I'm braiding. So back to my center point, make sure I'm correct. All right, so I've got the right side down. I want to do the same thing over here on the left side. So again, my center, my top point up here, 1 hand length, should be across from the black tape I already put on. So I'm going to do another piece of black tape on that left side. And again, that's just simply a marker to show me where I want that braid to end, which I'll show you here in just a moment. Take that off. All right, so I've got 2 parallel pieces of black tape here on the end, about a hand length apart from the very top. And from there, you can see on the end here, it's already starting. It frays a little bit, and you have 3 pieces per side. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to fray my piece of rope, and I'm going to take that all the way up and fray it until I get to these 2 black pieces, but I do not want to go further than these 2 black pieces. I want the top to stay twisted just how it is. I'm going to get started on that, undo my pieces, try to go as quickly as I can here. This is the tedious part of making this kind of hobble. I got this sort of a rope, it's the 5/8 inch rope at the Orchlands here in Missouri. You can get it at a Farm and Fleet, a Tractor Supply, I'm sure Big R, any of those places would have it. I believe it was $1.28 a foot. So for a 7-foot hobble, which is what I'm making here, it's only going to be around $8 for you to make this hobble. And then just a couple of pieces of black tape, which everyone has laying around somewhere in their barn, shop, tack room, or house. So a pair of hobbles under $10 is pretty darn cheap. And then you don't feel bad if a colt or even a dog thinks it's a chew toy and tries to rip it up. You could just make another set. So again, I'm just undoing the fray now on the opposite side of the one I just did. Working it all the way up to that black tape. This is where you got to have a lot of patience. This rope, I know you can kind of see it, you can't feel it from there, but this rope is very soft. And that's one of the reasons I chose to make my hobbles out of this rope, because it seems to go really well with the colts that are kind of hopping around and stumbling a little bit, trying to figure out what these hobbles are at first. It doesn't necessarily bruise up their legs or anything. So now I have my long 3 strands per side that are all undone. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the top where we made our loop, and I'm going to put this loop around my shoe, and that's how I hold it tight. And then I'm going to braid all these pieces together. But what I'm going to do first is I'm going to take 1 from each side and put it together. So I'll have these 2 together, back 2 together, and then these 2. And so I have just 3 now, and then I can braid simply. It's just 1 strand from the left side, one strand from the right side, match them up, and then you can braid it very simply that way. So I'm going to hold that, put this end, I like it around my shoe, then I can hold it that way. So I'm simply just holding it with my shoe, and then I'm going to braid. You want to braid pretty tight. When you braid it down through, you don't want a piece to have a hole in it, because all of you know horses and they will stick their foot through that hole if it happens to get a hole in it. So I'm just braiding it fairly tight all the way down through. It makes a very, very nice soft braid that I'll show you here once I get finished. All the way down. Gets tangled up, of course, on the way. Pulling it tight each piece so it stays nice and tight. No holes or anything for it to come undone while I'm using them. If you get some like rolls or even a curve in your rope as you're doing it, that's okay. I do keep mine pretty flat, but it is okay if they get a little curve or a spot in them as you're braiding. So I'm going to go to the very end of my braids here, and then you can see it's a nice flat braid all the way down through, and then I'm going to tie a knot. So I'm going to take it, do a small loop. I'm still holding my end with my right hand so it doesn't come unbraided. Make a little loop, and then I'll go through the center and I'll pull this tight. So again, I had it flat here. I'm going to do a loop and take it through the middle. And this time I will pull that nice and tight as I can get it, because I do not want this knot to come undone at any time that I'm using them. So that would mean your hobbles would fall off of your horse, which would not be very good. So I pulled that nice and tight, take it off my shoe. So now you can see that I've still got my loop in the end, my 2 pieces of black tape, a very soft braid all the way down. And at the very end, I just have a large knot. And I know this looks like a big old sloppy big knot. That's actually what I want, because as we put them on our horse, we're going to take this through, and that knot is what holds those hobbles together, just like that. As far as the ends, you can see they're a little sloppy and a little frayed. You can either put a piece of black tape per piece on the end to hold them together. You could cut them flat and then try to melt them together with a torch or a lighter.